I don't see one animal fucking activist out here. I don't see one person, Tash Peterson, that bald-headed fuck, the fucking vegan teacher. I don't see these cunts out here having to fucking do what we have to do to humanely kill fucking animals, because they're fucking burnt to a fucking crisp and they're barely hanging on with fucking life. There's nothing we can do for them. And then blokes like myself have to come out here with these fucking things and fucking put them down. Where the fuck are you cunts? Huh? Where the fuck's your support? Where the fuck are you out here now? I'll tell you where you're at. You're fucking nowhere. You're fucking hiding, as you always fucking do, because all you want to do is verify yourselves on fucking TikTok.
This week in Perth, there have been some catastrophic fires destroying mass forests and native wildlife. Yesterday, a West Australian farmer made a video out in the devastation of dead bushland which once flourished with native flora and fauna. He can be seen carrying a rifle on his back and begins discussing about the fact that he has to end the lives of native wildlife who are suffering and burnt alive. This man proceeds to question where myself and other animal rights activists are during this time. He proceeds to say, "Where the fuck are you? Where is your support? You're fucking nowhere, because all you want to do is verify yourselves on TikTok and leave all the hard work to us." This has resulted in an influx of people accusing me of doing nothing for the animals in the bushfires, whilst they actively participate in the animal holocaust each time they consume meat, dairy and eggs. Where am I and the other activists? Well, we are trying to stop the animals that you murder each time you consume meat, dairy and eggs. We are trying to stop the animal holocaust. Each year, 70 billion land animals and 2.7 trillion marine animals are brutally murdered for food. Vegans and animal rights activists have dedicated their time to actively raise awareness about animal cruelty, as well as participating in many forms of activism to help end animal suffering. For example, many vegans donate and volunteer their time at animal sanctuaries. Many people rescue farmed and wild animals. And we choose to live a vegan lifestyle which saves hundreds of animals' lives and says no to animal cruelty. Most people care about animals, so of course we are all mourning at the loss of wildlife and farmed animals during this bushfire season. However, the hypocrisy must be pointed out for these people feeling sorry for farmers having to put a bullet in the head of animals to end their suffering, whilst they actively participate in paying people to slit animals' throats for their food. Non-vegans are the very reason as to why farmed animals exist in the first place. These animals are forcibly bred into existence, have their throats slit and their bodies chopped into pieces for the sake of an unnecessary meal. Bushy, you're devastated by this natural disaster, but what about the trillions of animals that are murdered every year for food? What about the wildlife who are brutally murdered as forests are mass destroyed to clear land for farmed animals and crops to feed them? It is estimated that 50 million native animals are brutally murdered for land clearing in Queensland and New South Wales alone every year. If I could be out there rescuing those animals in the fires, I would be. I'm assuming that you're employed by DPAW and have some fire training, hence why you're out there. And unfortunately, civilians are not allowed on the fire ground. Can you imagine the chaos of a group of inexperienced vegans with good intentions walking out onto a fire ground to rescue animals, getting burned, falling down hot spots, being hit by falling branches and getting in the way of firefighters? Who are you to say that vegans and activists are doing nothing to help this situation? We are all doing our best, and an effective way for those people with no training or experience to go out into the fire grounds themselves, the best way to help is by donating to Kanyanya Wildlife Rehab Centre and Native Animal Rescue. I commend you for doing an incredibly difficult job. I have never been in a situation where I've had to take someone else's life. I could not imagine how heartbreaking it would be to do that. But what you need to realise is that when you consume animal products, you are actively paying people to murder animals needlessly. Why are you only distraught by the death of some species and not others? There is no moral difference. They are all animals, we are all animals that have the same capacity to feel pain and suffering. Australia has seen devastating fires in recent years. Animal agriculture is a leading cause of climate change, deforestation, wildlife extinction, habitat loss, and a majority of other environmental catastrophes. There is no doubt that a diet consisting of animal flesh and secretions is significantly contributing to these environmental catastrophes. The main driver for deforestation in Australia is livestock, particularly beef cattle. 90% of Queensland's forests are destroyed to become grazing land for farmed animals. Deforestation is a significant driver for biodiversity loss and greenhouse gas emissions in Australia. It is estimated that 50 million native animals are killed for land clearing alone in Queensland and New South Wales every year. Deforestation contributes to increased fire risk by exacerbating climate change through carbon emissions, which increases the severity and duration of regional droughts. It was only just over a week ago where I went to Bunnings and did a protest about this very thing. On the day, there was a group of firefighters selling animal flesh to fundraise money for their volunteer firefighters. I chose to protest on this particular occasion to raise awareness about animal suffering and the hypocrisy of people who are dedicating their lives to save other lives, whilst ultimately they were selling murdered bodies of innocent beings. In my protest, I also wanted to raise awareness about the very fact that increased fire risk is due to animal agriculture. I thought it was very hypocritical that these firefighters were selling beef, the very thing that is fueling Australian fires and climate change. I noted that I commend these hard-working firefighters for what they do and putting their lives at risk to help others. I just wanted them to be aware of that hypocrisy, as well as being aware that animal agriculture is the leading cause of climate change. Australia is on fire. Meat, dairy and eggs are the fuel.